There is always a local hunter that seems to always get it done year after year. They tend to use up the majority of their PTO during the month of November. They usually spend more time sitting in a tree than they do at home during the rut. During this time, their Little Debbie, Red Bull, and jerky consumption quadruples for the year. When success hits, you'll find their picture on Facebook stating "Sweet November." Welcome to our podcast series called Local Legends. In today's episode, we're going to hear how a local legend repeatedly finds success and the story of their harvest. Now here's your host, Taylor Smith and Gunnar Womack.
Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of the Outdoor Defiance podcast. This week, our guest is all the way from the bluegrass state of Kentucky. I'd like to introduce you guys to Kevin Summers. Last year, Kevin topped his year by shooting 185-inch, typical out of Kentucky, which at that point would have been the buck of his life until this year, when Kevin harvested a 279-inch non-typical. You heard me right, 279 inches. That is right under 100 inches bigger than the deer he shot last year, which 185-inch deer is a deer of a lifetime to 99% of the world of deer hunters. So thank you guys for tuning in this week. This is the first time ever Kevin has told a story to anyone else. Let's get to it. So Kevin, thank you for coming on today. You've had a crazy year this year, and I've seen it on your social media and just being able to talk to you a little bit I have. And I'm ready for people to listen to this episode and hear your story because, I mean, your year could potentially be a once in a lifetime, and if it's not, then holy cow. So, but thanks for coming on today and joining us for this podcast.
No problem. I'm glad to be on.
So Kevin, kind of breaking this, this is kind of the question that we kind of ask everyone on this episode or on these types of episodes. Kind of, how did you get started in the outdoors? And, a lot of people are like, well, your typical way. But the more times people answer it, we find out there is no typical way that anyone's got started in the outdoors. So kind of what's your story on how you got started?
Well, my story, my aunt, she got with a guy named Henry that was my uncle, and he started taking me hunting when I was a kid, and I just loved it. And more and more as an older I got, he just kept taking me. And I was just a passion for it. You just couldn't. Every other kid was wanting to play video games and stuff, and play with toy stuff, and I was wanting to go being outdoors. I used to, when I was a kid, I'd go sit up in deer stand with him for all day long. And I remember this one time I was in a deer stand. I was seeing these little Indians coming out of the ground. We done been in the deer stand so long. It looked like little Indians coming out of the ground with little bow and arrows that shooting at us. And just from in and on out, I love it. I got a passion for it.
So what age was it when you first started?
I think you started taking me hunting and fishing when I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
And then I used to go deer hunting with him, set up in deer stand, just watch him shoot deer and stuff. And then I guess it was around 10 years old, I started going by myself. Well, I didn't go by myself. I started shooting a bow and stuff. And then I think I was around 12 or 13 before I went and I killed my first deer by myself.
Oh, wow. Was it your first deer? Was it a buck, doe?
It was a doe.
A doe?
I shot it with a black powder muzzleloader. And then I think the following year after that, I got a bow. I started practicing with my bow, and I went in the woods. I shot one. I hit it in the guts, and I couldn't find it. He told me, he said, "I'm gonna tell you what you did." He said, "You just pulled up and shot real quick. You didn't take your time and stuff." So the next day, I went back, and I had this little doe come in. It was a deer with spots and stuff. And I was tore all the pieces from the floor up, and it comes out, and I got ready to shoot, and I got ready to do what I did the first time. And I said, "No," he said, "make sure you take your time and put that pin where it needs to be." And I did, and I shot it, and I smoked it. And ever since then, it's just been a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's what I had to break that too, is just stop pulling up and seeing brown and letting it fly. I mean, I felt like once I broke that wall, I became a way better hunter until this year.
Yeah.
But
that is a habit it's hard to get out of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
especially
tough.
on a big buck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's, people are like, well, you just haven't shot enough. I'm like, I promise you, if it's my 100th buck, I guarantee you I'll still have the same reaction I do.
I get this. I get to say, actually, I get more tore up on a smart doe than I do a big buck.
Yeah.
I don't know why, man. Just them does when they start stomping that foot, and once they start stomping that foot and it's taking that head and doing it right there, it's on. I mean, I'm so tore up, my heart's about to beat out of my chest.
That's so true. It's funny.
When
So have you?
doe days hit,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say when doe days hit every year, it's kind of like that. But last few years, it's almost like so I get more calm with my bow because I've shot it so much than even with a rifle at like 250 something yards. Like with a bow, I don't know what it is. Just the last few years, I just feel like I'm invincible with my bow, and I take my gun out, and I'm like, how far is it gonna be? I don't know. I don't know why, but just the last few years, I felt pretty. I mean, I missed one this year. I was shooting my dad's bow, but with my bow, I don't know. I felt pretty invincible the last few years.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way on that situation. Like all the deer I've ever killed have been bow kills. I've killed one deer with a gun my whole entire life, and like it's about like you just said, like everything you feel more like you're more deadly with your bow because you killed everything with your bow.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a gun out there, you're like, what I even got a gun for, right? I don't even want to be here with a gun.
Yeah. And another thing, it's crazy building confidence behind a bow. I jumped in 2013 to start bow hunting and bought that bow as a Matthews Helium, and I shot it until this year. And then I had a little deal happen with me beginning season, and it kind of fell apart pretty much. And decided to use my backup bow, and I just have not felt the accuracy and confidence, with that backup bow because for what almost or 11 years I've used the same bow. So that's kind of a crazy thing. I never really even imagined until this year.
And I got all kinds of like friends stuff. They'll buy a new bow every year. And I've got the confidence with my bow that I've had forever, and I just can't come off of it.
Yeah, that was like my Matthews Helium. I still wish I could find the parts, and I've been looking, but man, it's just hard for me to find the parts for this thing. So what bow have you shot your whole life?
I have shot a Matthews my whole life.
Yeah. What model is it?
I'm not sure, but the one I shoot now, I've shot it for the last probably 10 years. It's a Matthews DXT.
Okay.
And I like it because it's small, it's compact. I can get it in places. I mean, it looks like a little youth bow, but man, I'm telling you, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's like the Helium. It is super light and small. But it's kind of cool to also see something that I've noticed in today's trends, like everyone's getting these new bows, and there's everyone year after year posting about their new bows. Well, all sudden on YouTube, the biggest videos are these people going to pawn shops and buying 10-year-old, to 15-year-old Matthews. And I'm like, man, I haven't shot one my whole life. You guys are making a video over it. So
Matthews is, I mean, there's a lot of good bows out there nowadays in time, but Matthews has just been so, like, their bows has just been so forgiving and smooth shooting. It ain't the speed, it's the smooth shooting that everybody wants.
Yeah.
And all these companies just try to get these fast bows and stuff, and they're not realizing it's not the speed everybody wants, it's the comfort.
Yep. Yeah, well, and then they try to do too much, and now we're having limb problems. You know what I mean? I'm like, golly.
Yep.
So that's what I think they're hurting them. Unless the phase 4, from everything I've read, everyone's loving it, but the lifts, it's depends who you ask. If you have someone that's blown up on, or someone's doing great, you know what I mean? It definitely changes opinion hard there.
Yep.
Another thing is a lot of these people that have been Matthews people for 20 years are going to Hoyt or something else because of the lifts. It's crazy what one bad series can do to a company too.
One bad problem that can, I mean, like you said, like you have a blow up on you. I mean, it's gonna make you think the way, hey, is this next one gonna blow up when I shoot it?
Yeah.
And,
I mean, if you're gonna spend $1,500, $2,000, you don't want the bow to blow up on you.
no, I mean, for sure. I mean, I think I bought mine I bought it 10 years ago. I think I paid like $400 for the bow, and like, dude,
Yeah.
I had put new strings on it several times. I mean, and I beat the bow like to death, and I mean, you can go out there and look at it. I mean, I throw it in my truck and all that stuff, and dude, it's such a good strong, dependable bow is just unreal.
Yeah. Waddell and T-Bone did a series a while back, maybe even a year ago by now, about their old bows, and they were shooting them, and that's what they're talking about. They're like, this how strong and independent or dependent, how you can depend on these is way different than what's now. You can do one little thing, torque it the wrong way, and there goes your whole hunt.
Like I bought a crossbow for my son last year. We went through 4 sets of limbs in a year with this crossbow. And I told him, I said, you just need to just pick up a bow and learn to shoot it because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Or get you like a 2000 model crossbow or something.
Yeah.
Like you said, they make them to break them.
Yep.
That's right. They
That's
make
everything.
money when they break.
Yep. So kind of give a story, kind of where'd you grow up and kind of, I guess, how has hunting evolved? Like, did you go from, like, when did the turning point of, all right, I want this caliber deer start ticking in your brain?
Well, this caliber that I killed this year.
Or like, when have you like turned your focus from, like, so for me, for instance, like when I first started hunting, it was like, man, if it was a decent 8-point, I could not resist. But then it was when I got to probably my senior year in high school, I was like, all right, I want the 140s instead of 150s. And then I started doing like more management and passing deer and all that.
Well, when I first started hunting with my uncle and stuff, and he's a meat hunter. He shoots. Antlers don't mean nothing to him.
Yeah.
And and I was the same way stuff. So I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. I was just whacking and stacking does and stuff in the area. In the area that I grew up in and stuff, they had there was big deer in that area, but you didn't. If you seen a 140, that was really good, like really. Good. And so trophy hunting wasn't really all that around where I started hunting at. Well, he has some friends and stuff that own some different farm on a different part of the county, and I started going over there hunting and stuff. And I think it was 2008. I went over there and we scouted the farm and watched it and stuff, watched the field. And I seen by this time, I think I've only killed one buck my whole life.
Yeah.
And it was with a bow. And it was like maybe a 120. And we scouted this farm, and I seen this big deer. And I knew where he was and told him, I said, well, the next morning, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to make a complete circle around this field and try to cut him off with my climber. And I did. And it was probably 7:30, 8 o'clock. And this deer come out. And I knew that this time he looked like a freaking Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
And he come out and he come straight to me and he gave me an 8-yard shot and I shot him. And I got out and he run 100 yards and stopped and looked at me and started flicking his tail. I'm like, I missed that sucker. So I get out of the deer stand and I get my arrow and there was no blood. There was just a little blood on my broadhead. I'm like, I just barely missed him. He got away. And I looked right beside him where my broadhead was sticking in the ground. There was a puddle of blood the size of probably a chair. I mean, it was just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
What happened when I shot him? My broadhead just nicked the side of his neck, and it hit his artery in his neck. And we give him some time, and we went look for him. And we're like exactly where he went in the woods at, like 7 yards where he went in the woods. He was dead at 5 o'clock. Like,
wow.
I think he was 156 inches. He's got 8.5-inch bases.
Wow.
He's got like 20 something scoreable points, and his bases is like big of a Coke can. He's got 2 splits like this right here, and you could actually pour some like water or something in them, and it'll hold the water.
Oh wow! So it's kind of cupped down there in the splits.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I think that was 2008, and in 2010 I killed a 170, like just a few, like not even a mile from that same spot.
Wow.
And just from then on, man, it's just been. I can't really describe. Like, man, I've been lucky and killed some really good deer that a lot of people dream about killing.
Yeah.
But like I said, 150s, 160s is like that's a big deer to me. I think anything over 145 is a really big deer. But
yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been really blessed with some real big deer. And I told my wife last year, I said, because I killed a real big deer last year. I told her, I ain't mounting no more deer for a long time. And then I started getting this deer on camera. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna hate me for this. And I didn't think he was as big as he was, but man, it was just outstanding.
You know, most people don't even really know. Like everyone's like, oh, I saw 140. 140-inch deer is a big deer. Nobody,
Yes.
they don't get credited for really how big a 140-inch deer truly is. You
Yeah.
know,
I'm gonna say 90. I'm gonna say 85% of the population, when they tell you they let a 140 walk, it's probably only a 120.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, like you said, a 140 is a real big deer.
Yep.
That especially an 8 point. If an 8 point is 140, that's a giant.
Yep.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. That
yeah.
if you shoot 140-inch 8 point, in my eyes, you shot a world class deer. I mean,
Yeah.
that thing. That's what my dream is. I want a 140 8 point, and I really want a 6 point that's over 120 inches so bad. Like I would, if I knew where one was, I might pay for to go hunt that place.
Yeah. And I've been lucky enough. Like I haven't had to pay a dime to hunt any of the places I hunt. Like I just been
Really?
got good friends and family, and then the places that I can hunt. And man, doing stuff for people goes a long way for real.
Oh yeah. Yep. I got a couple places like that. I'd either helping them out from the last few years or going in there, and I've done stuff like cut cedars and stuff. And so a couple of my places, shouldn't say a couple, one really. It's from doing all that. So yeah, just doing stuff, especially like old farmers. Like if they need the money, they wouldn't be an old farmer.
No,
You know what I mean?
you're
And I don't mean that. I mean that in 100% respectful way to farmers because some of my family are farmers. But I'm like, they need the money. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
yeah.
They just love what they're doing. Money's most of the time they have enough to get by, or they might have a lot from family history stuff. But most of the time they don't care about that. So if you're just a little nice, if you're nice to them and show them respect, and just act like you're not there just for hunting,
I
and
think today's time, the places that people lease is for reasons where people don't respect people's stuff.
yep,
They let somebody hunt, and they let them hunt, and the next thing you know, they're bringing 20 people in them hunting in here,
yep,
hunting this place, and rutting their fields up and stuff. And I kind of understand where people come from, why they lease out ground to certain people.
oh yeah, yeah, especially down here. I mean, it became such a money issue. These people are going to school leases and paying more than they would to the farmer if he had it to lease it out just to hunt. So it's a weird rule. You can go there, and if you say you're leasing it out to hunt, you can't sub the cattle rights out, or it used to. So if anyone's hearing this and I'm backwards, I apologize. But used to, if you got for just hunting, you couldn't sub the cattle out. But if you got just for cattle, you could sub the hunting out. Well, now these hunters are showing up and outbidding all these guys that have had these school fund leases around here for decades in their family, and they're leasing it out just to hunt. If they just go to the farmer, it'd be a fraction of the price.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lease around here that went for $10,000, and the years before it's been 25 to 3,500. It's just
Yeah,
unreal.
it's getting unreal today for real. But
Yeah.
but there's still places, there's still people out there that let you hunt if you don't have nowhere to hunt. I mean, you just like you said, you got to be nice people. You got to show them respect and help them out if they need something. Like there's this one farm, I think I bush hogged 3 acres and I got the hunt rights to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we've lost. No, I shouldn't say lost, but we've ran into situations where our neighbors have been like, yeah, they came over here and brush hog our ATV trails, and we let them hunt, and we're like, we have a tractor over here. We'll brush hog the trails. You can come get the tractor for anything, anytime if we can hunt. And it's just us not asking. This other person showed up before we did and offered it, and it's like, holy cow! But yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Or I mean, on the flip side, if you don't have a private place to hunt, if you put your work into a public, you can have just as good as hunt, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's really big deer on public ground. Like you said, you gotta put your time in it. And if you ain't got a lot of time, I can understand why you don't
Yeah,
hunt public. You gotta have
yeah,
a lot of time to hunt public for sure.
bunch of time, years. Sometimes it can take 4 to 5 years before you find a mature buck. When did you start hunting public? Was it when you were younger, or is it something kind of newer to
I'll be
you?
honest with you. This year was the first year I've hunted public once before. It's been maybe I'm gonna say 5 or 6 years ago. I went on a doe mission, just went up there killing some does. But this year was
Yeah.
the first year that I've ever hunted public for actually a buck.
Wow.
And I got on some good deer. And like I said, I had a 135-inch deer in Illinois look up at me, and I'm like, this doe comes through, and then this little buck comes through, and then next thing you know, this 135-inch 8-pointer comes through, and I'm going to shoot him. And what does he do? Instead of taking the doe trail, he turns and comes straight underneath my deer stand, looks up at me, and I can't. There's no way of getting a shot on him. I'm sitting here like,
Yeah.
what do I do here? What do I do here? Next thing you know, then you're hunting public. He takes off running and never see him again.
He went to the
That's
other
awesome.
piece across the river
Yeah,
or across the county or something.
He's probably in
And then-
Oklahoma by now.
probably. And then there's where I've been hunting at in Illinois, man. It's just all the deer seems to be on private ground and coming on public at night.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Watch them
that's
out in the fields, and then
yeah.
you can't hunt them. You're like, dang. One of these days they're gonna slip up, and 6 trips into it, you're like, they ain't gonna slip up. They've been hunting too hard. And you're like, I ain't even seen a hunter here. I don't know why they're avoiding this place.
Yeah. Yeah, I had
It's
to
tough.
play. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's tough. Taylor and I have dipped our toe, and we hunted Kansas walk-in this year. I've done it twice. Taylor did it once. I've hunted. So we have in Oklahoma, we have controlled hunts on public pieces. Like some of them are like bow only, but then they'll give out like 4 rifle tags a year, so you'll get to go rifle hunt it. It's like to promote some of our public lands here, in different places. But it's definitely tough. Like Taylor said, you got, if you don't have the time, it's almost like you got to get just a tad bit lucky at times.
Yep.
Just to, like, if you have like a 3 or 4 day hunt, you could do everything right. Like you can find the hot trail, you can find where they're feeding, you can find the bedding, you can have the perfect wind, and it just might not work out. Someone might just walk through there one day, or it just might not work out. So, I mean, it's definitely tough hunting that public stuff.
Like you said, when it comes to hunting public ground, it's time. Like if you're hunting private ground around your home and you get off work, hey, I'm gonna go run the deer stand. You can't do it on public because you have to travel so far to your public ground. It's like this is hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you don't know if you're going to mess up anyone or if someone's already there. That's happened to me. I've rushed out there going, I can make it. And I get there and there's someone there. And I'm like, yeah, I just might as well head home at this point. So I also, and going back on this topic, I think a good example is the hunting public. I mean, what did they do? They were, they started out with, what was it? Midwest Whitetails, I believe. And if it wasn't them, it's someone similar to them. And then they kind of branch off and did this hunting public deal, right? Well, the first, 2-3 years, they killed a lot of deer, but a lot of them were, your smaller deer. And they don't care on that show what they shoot. And I think that's awesome. But if you start taking this year and the last couple years, what are they doing? They're going back to those places they've learned and they're shooting giants. And that's kind of a great example of like, it takes time. And like, I know a family that's hunted a place down here for, I think they said like 10 to 15 years. And they've shoot big ones every year. And people go up there because they follow them up there and be like, we can't find it. What's going on? And these people are like, we have 10 years of experience up here. And that's what the difference is. So yeah, public land is like a lot of time and luck. Luck can help you out too, but definitely time is your thing that you can control. Luck is something you can't control. But if you have luck, it will help you out. So
luck is really, I'm gonna say
it's handy.
Everybody, luck is the key.
Yeah, it's handy to have. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes your name is Gunner and you have it every season. Every time you go out to hunt, you have it.
Yeah. I've been told I'm lucky a time or two.
It's a wise man used to tell me, I take luck over skill any day.
Oh, 100%.
Man.
100%. So you said before this year and the deer you shot this year, what'd you say your biggest one was? 170?
No, I killed a 185 last year.
Oh, wow. Was that public?
Mainframe, no, that was private.
Private?
As a mainframe 8-pointer, he's 170.
Golly. And do you have pictures of that deer?
I do have pictures of that deer. I can send you the pictures too.
Yeah, send them. in any of these deer we talk about, if you send them to me and tell me which ones they are, I'll tag them kind of when we talk about them too. So if you're listening on Spotify or any of that, I'm sorry you're not going to see the pictures, but if you go watch YouTube, I'll definitely put the pictures in there. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
the deer that I actually killed last year was running with the deer I killed this year.
Really?
They was bachelor buddies together.
Wow. That's a pretty cool story. Let's take a break from this podcast and talk about some awesome products.
Hey folks, let me tell you about GritKnives. They're not just your average knife company. They're all about high quality, affordable, and unique products that'll make your outdoor adventures legendary. From limited edition pocket knives to rugged fixed blades and precision scalpels, they've got it all. Plus, their logo wear will have you repping the brand wherever you go. So whether you're out in the field or tackling everyday tasks, trust GritKnives to be your go-to for top-notch gear that won't break the bank.
Are you looking for some of the best sounding turkey calls on the market? Then look no farther than JAG Calls. Since 2022, Team OD has been using their calls and have had great success doing so. Two of my personal favorite calls are the Mother Clucker and the America. And I mean, if it has a name like that, it must be good. Check out JAG Calls, that's JAG Calls, out at jagcalls.com. Hey, and while you're at checkout, use OD 2024 for a discount. Once again, OD 2024 for your discount.
Now let's get back to today's episode.
So let's kind of go in the topic. Are you done for the year right now? Or
I hate to say, I don't want to be done, but I'm probably gonna be done for the year.
I think we're all at that point.
I was really wanting to go to Illinois and try to smash the 130, 140 if I could, but I got so much stuff going on. I'm probably gonna call it quits for the year.
Yeah, our season ends tomorrow, and I can't get out. I have engagement pictures, but it sucks. But what I was going to with that is kind of as your year is ending, kind of go over what happened this year, because I don't want to give too much information about how your year went, but kind of break it down. Talk about where you've been and then how it turned out.
Well, first, I guess you want me to start maybe in the summertime for all unfolded.
Yeah.
Well, I started last year. The deer that I killed last year was running with the deer I killed this year. Well, I noticed he didn't have he kept his velvet like year round, and so I didn't. My son was gonna go kill him because he never dropped his velvet. He was only like 125 inches last year, and
Uh-huh.
my son was like, "Oh, he kept his velvet. I want to go kill him." Well, he didn't get around to going to actually hunting the deer, and he made it through the season. And I pulled my cameras. I'm gonna say I pulled them around. I'm gonna say 1st of February maybe.
Uh-huh.
And then around turkey, and then he was still on it still had the velvet's mainframe 8-pointer, like 120, 125 inches. And the following turkey season, I put my camera out just to kind of scout some turkeys, and I got a couple pictures of them. Then I'm like, man, that's a freaky looking deer. I didn't get good pictures of them, so it was probably midsummer. I started moving cameras around and started getting pictures. I'm like, man, this is a freaking freak.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking like 180, 190, and my buddy's like, "Oh, that deer's over 200." I was like, "It ain't that big," because I've never killed a 200. I was like, "He ain't that big." And bow season was getting closer and closer, and by this time, I done had him pinpoint where he was at.
Mm-hmm.
So first the bow season gets here, and I never hunt mornings. First of bow season, I always just hunt the afternoons, and that first afternoon come in and. We had a good like a little cold front come through. We had a north wind. I'm like, man, this is the wind I need to hunt this deer. So I get to stand like 3 o'clock and I'm sitting in there and I'm like, man, because last year I hunted so hard after the deer that I killed last year. I hunted probably however long season was in. I was probably out there probably at least 85 to 90% of the time trying to kill that deer. I was setting up a deer stand. I'm like, man, Lord, please let me kill this deer pretty quick because I can't afford. I don't want to be out in the stand like I did last year. And I'm sitting there, it's like 15, 20 minutes, and I see these raccoons coming through the woods, and I'm like, dang, I thought that was a deer. They play for like 10 minutes or so, and they kind of carry on. And I look up, and I'm like, there's a deer right there. And I'm looking, I'm like, dang, that's a funky looking. That's the deer I'm after. And he starts like turning, coming straight to me, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get an easy shot. It's gonna be a chip shot here, and I'm self filming the hunt, and I'm recording the camera. I turned the pole. I'm like watching him come all the way up to me and stuff, and he gets like 25 yards from me, and I don't know what. I still to this day I don't know what it was, but something made him jittery, and he starts turning and he starts going away, and I try to turn the camera arm best of my knowledge, and I go back and I stop him and I draw back on him. I shoot him at like 25 yards, and I knew when I hit him, I was like, man, I smoked that deer.
Mhm.
So I sat in the stand for like 25 minutes and I started calling everybody, man, I done shot him. I done shot him. And by this time, I mean, he looked big up in the air, but like, I didn't know he was that big.
Mhm.
So I get out of the stand and I call everybody, and everybody meets up with me. And we come back looking for blood. And we're not seeing much blood. I'm like, man, I know I heard him crash. And my little nephew was with us and stuff, and he's walking. He said, "There he is," and he died between two big rocks, like right in the middle of this little creekway. You couldn't even like he was camouflaged. You couldn't even see him and stuff. And we go up to him and like, "Oh my God, I just shot the biggest deer of my life." I'm like, "This don't even look like a deer here. This is a freak."
Yeah.
And I still like at that time I still didn't think he was going to score like that. I was still thinking probably 190, 200 at the most. But he was just. It's hard to describe. He don't even look like a deer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No, when I saw that picture, I screenshot it because I think that was the first big deer entered in that
it was because you sent
competition.
it to me. You sent
Yeah,
it to me, and I said, "Well, we're done."
yeah. I said, well,
That's what I said. That's what
we're
I
not
said.
placing. We're not going to
He
get
sent me
first.
that. It was like first week, I feel like, and he
Yeah.
sends it to me. It's like still like 90 something degrees back here, and I'm like, Dad, gum. I mean, I don't know if either of us really had. I mean, Taylor had the deer he
No.
was chasing. He knew he was around, but he didn't know
Yeah.
what he was yet. I didn't even have a nice deer on camera yet, so we were just like, kind of like, oh, we're just kind of hoping a big deer shows up.
Yeah.
Maybe
It
we can
was,
have a
Totally
good
my
dude, it's,
showing.
thoughts.
I guess you look at this deer, he don't even look like a deer. Like, so, like, you can't even tell how many points this deer's got to you, Sammy
Yeah.
Person. Like, he's got points that, like, he'll have a point that comes out that's probably 7, 8 inches long, and then he'll have 5 more points that wrap around that point that you can't even see. Like, it's
Wow.
just, I don't know what's wrong with him. He just, you can't explain it. Like, how does a deer go from a 125 inch 8 pointer to a freaking 279 inch deer? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. Did you only have 2 years with that deer?
I think I possibly had a third year, but I wasn't really 100% positive because he would have been like a 6 pointer, and like I didn't really pay attention to it.
I
But
just didn't know if
like,
he did. He
like what
never shed his velvet and just kept growing.
I, I'm assuming because this year when I killed him, he didn't even have a main frame to him, so he had to drop his horns last year and grow them back, and just because if he would have kept them, he would have still had the 8 pointer frame, and he didn't have it.
Yeah.
Like he was just there's no frame to him at all. It's just stuff comes out of his head and just goes everywhere.
Wow. Man, I wonder what. That's crazy. Is there anyone that's like reached out and want to do any like research? Like I don't even know if that's possible because that's just like that's a unicorn.
Not yet. Like I said, the story hasn't really got out really big yet on him because I've been waiting to get him mounted, and I was told kind of keep hush hush about the deer until everything was legit. I got him back because it took him 5.5 weeks to get him free dry because he was so soft.
Oh wow.
I was told if I'd let him live another 2 weeks, he'd been over 300 inches.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I couldn't let him go because I mean I'm
No.
hunting around. I'm hunting around a bunch of people. I mean, I got people from like Georgia that leases land right beside me, and like he wasn't. I mean, what's the odds of me letting him live 2 more weeks and I kill him still? I mean, odds
Well,
probably ain't gonna happen.
at that
I mean, I'm
time you
hunting.
had no idea.
I'm hunting a 120-acre farm. I mean, odds of him probably me killing him probably wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity. I mean, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah. Well, at the time, like you said, you had no
I
idea
mean,
he could have done that. Like
no, I mean, I would have never knew that. But his
yeah.
horns were so soft, you can actually take them with your finger and push them. That's how soft it was.
Holy cow. That is,
So I mean,
that's crazy.
but
Wow.
but no, I don't think anybody in their right mind would have let him walk
No.
to let him grow. I mean, even if I knew it, if I would have let him grow, I mean, let him go and stuff, I still couldn't have passed him up.
Yeah, no.
I wonder if they're going to. They said he was a hermaphrodite deer. Those guys made that mistake. I'm almost thinking, because I was looking at this, he might have been like a cactus type buck where he had
Yeah.
testicular trauma or something, like you said, because he had like one testicle
Like I
left or
said,
something like
I
that.
actually have a video of him when I killed him. My buddy video.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but he did it, and he told me it looked like maybe a month ago. Hey, he said, "Hey, I got a video of his private parts and stuff." But like, he's got
Mm-hmm.
one little testicle, maybe the size of $50, maybe. But the other
Mm-hmm.
side, he didn't have no testicles. It was just
Yep.
one. He had one little testicle, and I'm thinking he might have had enough testosterone to drop his rack
Yep.
and grow it back. That's the only thing I can think of because I mean he had all male parts. He was running with the male bucks. He was not running with does. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was straight running with bucks. I mean, he was a buck, but something happened. I don't know if it happened at birth. I don't know if it happened.
Yeah.
Coyote got him or hit a barbed wire, but whatever happened to him, I'm glad it happened.
A bad day happened to him.
When I first killed that deer, I had people on Facebook like, "Well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go shoot my testicles off my bucks."
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if they all grow like that.
Yeah. No, that's did the year before, did he like chase does around during rut? Did you witness any of that, or did he kind of hang out by himself?
He kind of hung out by himself, and like I said, I passed him up probably 10 times last year trying to kill that other deer, and I think I had him in middle of November under me eating acorns like he was still grazing and stuff. And I mean, he was smart. I mean, he was a very smart deer. Like I had him look up at me several times, moving his head like this at me and stuff. I mean, he was a really smart deer. It's just, I just don't think the rut was in his mind.
Yeah. So I had a deer. We had this deer when we started hunting the property. Man, it was like 2004 or 5. And we had a deer like that. He shed every year, but he wouldn't rub his velvet off until like after a rifle, which rut down here is pretty much completely done then,
Yeah.
except for your second rut. But he had no interest in the ladies. He was more interested if a deer came out to get him off the field. And he was on us for 10 years. We have 10 years of pictures of this deer. And he never did anything other than just get real massive and about, I don't know, 8 inches tall with a fork. And, the last year he was on us, I told my dad, I said, we should shoot him and just get him mounted. And we couldn't do it because he's so smart. I mean, he would pinpoint us. We could be in places that no deer would ever see. And he would just walk out and be like, just give you this look and would just not come around. Or he'd turn around and go back out.
That's like the deer I killed last year. I had multiple years of this deer. Like I'm gonna say he was 7.5 to 8 years old. And like this deer was smart as it gets. And I'm like, how does this deer? Because I've never even like I've been hunting this farm and and every year I got him on camera like all year long. I'm like, how is this deer surviving? Like, and I'm not even seeing him. Like I'm hunting this farm and I ain't never seen him. Well, come to find out, he was living right behind the woman's house. She's got like 15 acres behind her house that she never really wanted to be hunting because she had like llamas and stuff. And so I
Yeah.
respected her. I never hunted behind her house. And I'm like, how is this deer surviving? Well, come to find out, that's where they were surviving at because last year, all their llamas passed away. And I asked her, I said, you care if I hunt behind your house? Because I wasn't seeing him nowhere else. And the second day behind her house, I killed him.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, these deer, people don't give these deer enough credit. Like, how would this deer know to survive behind her house? Like, what's the odds of that?
Yeah.
But he
And
did.
it's
I mean,
either,
he survived back there for 8 years.
wow. They're either smart or they're so dumb they're smart. One of the two.
Yeah.
I'm saying they're smart. So, yeah, no, that's crazy. Man. And then he went, what'd you say he scored 279?
279 and 6/8.
So when you first got a picture of him, how long was it until you harvested him? Like on your trail camera? Like the first this year.
I'm gonna say a good picture of him. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say early July maybe. I started getting good pictures of him, and then
So
I was getting decent pictures of him. Early, I just kept putting minerals and stuff out, and I've used Lucky Buck mineral. That's the only mineral I ever use is Lucky Buck. So I'd put Lucky Buck out and I'd get pictures of them because Kentucky you can't do anything till I think it's the first. I think it's like a month before season comes in. You can even put corn out to them, but so I usually just give Lucky Buck. And they was called coming to a Lucky Buck lick that I put out, and I was getting good pictures. I'm gonna say early July, and then just started unfolding from there on out.
so during that whole time, from the time which I get it in July because it's still growing season, but did he like grow the whole way through? Like
The
even
whole
from
way
like
through,
go ahead.
he was growing from the first time I got pictures of him till like when he was still growing a harvesting. They said
Wow.
like he was
And you
just
was it
getting
September?
bigger and bigger. I will tell you what I think was happening. I think his main frame, like his tallest points, was I think they was almost done. But I think what he was doing was shooting out different points around his bases every day. That's what I think what he was doing because
Wow.
I mean 45 scoreable points and most of them around his bases coming out of his head and stuff. I'm thinking that he was just growing new points is all he was doing. Was just kept growing new points.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean
Man,
it's
I wish we could understand the science behind that. You know, like was something injured down there, and then every time it shot a new point, it re-injured, and because a lot of people say, like those deer farms and all that will say if they injure their rack, they'll grow a point there. So like I've heard, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard some of those deer farms will take their deer and purposely, nick them or something to drop all these points. So when they go release them, they get that much more money for the extra inches. So I wonder if, I don't know. That's just crazy. I just wish we won't know the science behind it because it's a unicorn bug, but I wish we knew something about it because that's crazy.
I wish like I wish somebody would kind of research. I wish the story would got out a little quicker. Somebody could have researched it because that's once in a lifetime. I mean, you never
Oh
gonna
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, we might not know our whole life. All these hunters that hear this story, that's
Yep.
that's wild. Um, so you shot him was in September,
The first they both season in September. I think it was
September.
the seventh or eighth. I can't remember. But it was the first afternoon of both season when it come in.
So even like from there to like, how far back could you tell that he was still growing? Like a couple weeks, could you see new growth or?
I mean, every time I got a different picture of him, there'd been like 3 or 4 days I wouldn't get a picture of him. And I'm like, he gets a picture again. I'm like, man, he looks like he's got bigger. God, he's a freak, man. How big is this deer? Is he getting
Yeah,
bigger? I'm like, I don't even know how you would score a deer like this. And I showed a couple people pictures of him. And I'm like, man, most of the time I can guess one. They're like, I can't put a score on that deer. They said,
yeah,
I know he's over 200. That's all I can tell you. I can't put a score on him. And I'm like, I don't think he's 200. I kept telling myself he ain't 200. He's a little bit under.
yeah,
And hey, it's hard to score a non-typical. You can look at a typical deer and score them on like pictures and stuff. When you see one like that,
yeah. No.
I don't see how anybody could try to even guess a score on that.
Well, that's you'll see some of those non-typicals, and you're like, oh, that's like 180, and then they'll be like, oh, it went 210, and you're like, what? And then you'll see
What?
some, and you're like, oh, that has to be over 200-inch deer, and then they're like, oh, it went 180, and you're like, how?
Yeah, I've seen some deer before. I'm like, man, there's no way that deer scores that. But
Yeah,
hey, sometimes they'll fool you.
yeah. I mean, what if he had? You said 45 scorable points.
45 scoreable points, and I'm gonna be
Oh,
honest with you. There's so many points on him. There could be. I mean, you all have a point extra here and there. You don't even that you missed. But I don't think you missed any because, like I said, it's just. But hey, it's easy for anybody to miss that many points on a deer because they're
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. I was like, if they averaged 5 inches, I mean, you're looking at over 240 right there. You know what I mean? That's golly, that's
The
awesome.
mass. I think he was. I think he had like 144 inches on one side. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. You had to see it because this pictures don't do him justice. Like it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's wild. So, um, since you've shot him, how many have you kept track, or what are some of the bigger names of people that have reached out to you?
I had a company called Lucky Buck. You ever heard of Lucky Buck?
Is that
It's like a mineral that comes in a bucket. Then they got some product they call Freak that they made.
Oh, I know Freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they reached out to me and stuff, and they're using a story on all the deer that I've killed since I started bow hunting, because I've always used their mineral and stuff, and diehard Lucky Buck fan. But
Yeah.
other than that, that's really the only people that's reached out to me yet.
You gotten any flack? Like, if people, have you gotten any negative comments? Like, people kind of.
Just I've had a few comments on, oh, that's a fenced in deer. That's a fenced in deer. No, it ain't a fenced in deer. It's 100% fair chase.
Yeah.
Then I've had North American Whitetail contact me, and Realtree contacted me, and Buckmasters has contacted me. Other than that, and y'all and pretty much the bow hunt leads, really the only ones that knows about it that's actually contacted me.
Wow, that's crazy on a deer like that.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you're gonna have everybody contact you. You're gonna have freaking people across the world trying to call you and talk to you, try to buy your deer head. I'm like, ain't nobody calling me, which I
Yeah.
wasn't selling anyway. But they're like, your people's gonna wear you deaf. No, not really.
Wow, that's crazy knowing that deer, because I know people down here that have shot deer 80 inches, 90 inches smaller than that deer, and they're getting blown up. But that's crazy to hear. What are they doing, like a story? Have they done like Midwest White, or not Midwest?
North American Whitetail.
North American Whitetail. Are they going to do a story for you and a magazine?
They're supposed to do a story and stuff, but they've been on hold because they want a really good picture of the deer, and it was taking so long to get the deer back from being mounted, because like I said, they had a 5.5 week freeze dry time on him, and they just got him back like a few weeks ago. And my taxidermist, he had a shoulder surgery, and he just now got where he can start mounting him and stuff. So, and he called me yesterday and said he'll be done this week. So I'll have him probably Friday. And I went to the shop and seen I got some pictures of him and stuff, and man, he looks good.
Did you get a shoulder mount?
I got a pedestal mount.
Pedestal? Didn't know if you did a full body.
Yep.
If you went all in.
Nah, I probably couldn't afford that, but it'd been nice.
Those things are expensive. They've been funny.
What does a full body mount cost? I don't even know.
Like upwards of 5,000 to 10,000, if not more.
Yeah, I had a wall pedestal of mine, and then other than that, it's just wall mounts. And then I do a lot of Euros now, but
I mean, it costs it's getting more expensive mounting deer, but
yeah,
I could not mount this deer. This is
no, yeah.
My buddy told me, he said I told you last year if you weren't ever gonna top at it again. He said if you kill one next year bigger than this, he said I'm done. He said I'm gonna punch you. I said I don't think I'll ever kill one this big again.
Just to kind of back up a second, what kind of terrain are you hunting over there? I mean, people think of that area and they're like trees, hills, whatever. What kind of?
It is the farm that I'm hunting. It is I'm gonna say it's 120 acre farm. I'm gonna say 30, 35, 40 acres is field. The rest of it's nothing but hills and hollers.
Yep.
Soon as you go off the hill, it's nothing but a rock bluff drop off.
Wow.
And that's another thing the terrain is so rough that I can't hunt the holler. I have to hunt at the top of the hill, because if I try to go down in there, it's just so rough. I'm gonna run everything out.
Wow.
There's a lake down there. I want to fish it. There's no way to get the boat to it. That's how bad it is. You can't even drive forward down to it.
Holy cow. That's cool.
It's bad. It's real bad.
So will a buck like that, will it be a state record?
I don't think it's a state record, because I think my understanding is that it's top 3 in the world in full velvet. And I think it's 40 in the world ever. The 40th biggest deer in the world ever killed with gun or bow or anything is top 40. And I think it's top 4 or top 10 in the state of Kentucky. I can't remember.
Wow.
I
4 or
think there's a
10? Golly.
yeah,
There's
but top
potentially 2 to 6 deer bigger than that out there that have been shot.
but
Wow.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, golly, I hate to see that deer.
Yeah.
But top, but top 3 in the world in full velvet.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you know where the other 2 are from or which bucks they were?
I think the other one's from Muhlenberg County. I think.
Oh, from Kentucky?
Yeah, and I think the other one wasn't too far from where I killed mine at. Maybe 20 minutes from where I killed mine. 25 minutes at the most.
Let me see.
I think it was over. I think it was like 300. I think.
This is gonna make my dad jealous because he's when he grew up, he used to talk about wanting to get to Kentucky, and hunt Kentucky. But it's cool. I've researched hunting deer that east. How is the I know deer density in Tennessee's high. Is it pretty high in Kentucky as well? Like the deer density there?
Yeah, it's pretty good in Kentucky. I think the reason we have bigger deer is because we only allow 1 buck.
Okay.
Tennessee allows 2 and stuff. Which Tennessee's got big deer too, but I don't think as many people. More people around my area is trophy hunters, and I think it's one of the reasons why we got a lot of big deer. And we got a lot of. It's kind of crazy to say deer density because the farm that I'm hunting don't have a lot of does.
Really?
It's like a buck area. Only bucks wants to be there. Like early summer, I'll get bucks and I'll get probably all like I'm gonna say 10, 15 bucks, and I'll maybe have 3 does on camera all summer.
Holy cow.
Like and then, but once they lose their velvet, they just kind of does move in and they move out. It's kind of weird, but that's how it works. It's been like that for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's funny you said 1 buck because that's a huge topic in Oklahoma right now. It's like everyone wants, or not everyone. There's a group pushing for 1 buck, and then there's a group saying like it wouldn't do anything here, and then to back up, it wouldn't do anything here. It's like less than like 3% of hunters in Oklahoma actually fill 2 buck tags, but then you look at the state like you just talked about, like that area probably needs to be a 1 buck because you're seeing 3 does. Down here, if you're seeing 3 does, that you're having a slow, it's like I average 12 to 15 does a hunt. And sometimes we get up to 20, 30. I know people that average 60. So I think down here, I don't know if it would help, but like areas like that, I think 100% areas like that helps.
Yep. I be honest with you, I think if a lot of these states do just a 1 buck thing, or if you do the 2 buck thing, do a drawing for the 2nd buck or something. Because I mean, I'm telling you, I think that's why like I said, we go from like it ain't nothing for like to see a 120 around here though. That's Kentucky, a 120, 130 is a common deer.
Yeah. Same here.
And then you see a 140, it's not as bad, but I'm gonna say around here, I'm gonna say a 160, 170, they're getting more common than they used to be.
Yeah, that's definitely around here too, because I think a lot of people are getting off that mindset of which you can still be a meat hunter and a trophy hunter. I think a lot of people think you have to be either or, but if you're a meat hunter, down here we get 5 doe tags. So it's like, well, if you're a meat hunter, go ahead, shoot your 5 does, and then you can wait out for a big buck because we have so many does running around here. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people like to debate, well, I'm a meat hunter, or I'm this. So I'm like, well, I eat the venison, so I don't know if I can say I'm a meat hunter or a trophy hunter, but I also like to shoot big bucks. So, but yeah, it's
my thing is like you can only eat so much deer. Like
yeah,
my house, like only one that eats deer in my house is me and my son. So I mean, we don't kill as many deer as we should, but I'm not gonna kill deer if I'm not gonna eat it.
yeah, yep, yeah. That's it's crazy to see, like the train that you just described, and then our train, and I'm hearing, the deer numbers and all that. That's just, I don't know. That's why I love deer hunting, because it's a different story in different
And then like
states.
I've been when I going to Illinois and hunting and stuff. Like one day I think I've seen 35 does and never seen a buck one.
Yep, I've done
So
that down
their
here.
does, but they got their season's kind of confusing and stuff. So I think that's probably why their numbers of does is so high because they allow 2 bucks and I think you got to get a tag for every doe you kill. I mean that's just if they don't change the way they do their stuff, man, they're not going.
Yeah.
35 does in one morning. That's that's unbelievable, but it happened.
Yeah. No, we see a bunch of deer down here. That's what the thing is. A lot of people like they just don't shoot does. You know what I mean? Like they want to sit here and point fingers, but in the day, none of these people point fingers are shooting the does. So
Nope.
it all blows my mind, you know. And that's what it's funny if you're from here, you'd get it because you cannot get on an Oklahoma hunting page or Facebook without people sharing their side of if it should be a $2 or $1. And if you're a $1, it's because you're focusing on trophy. If you're $2, it's because you're looking at the herd. It's just funny to see these people sitting here trying to throw sticks at each other. And
Yeah.
but on the flip side, the last 3 or 4 years, Oklahoma has put their name on the map, and it's like, and we're not getting worse down here. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do on the $2 versus $1 down here. I'm ready to kind of see it, and I'm tired of people screaming at each other on Facebook. But I'm ready to see what they come up with.
I've noticed in the last 2 years that some of these big buck states are falling off, and other states is kicking them out. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, Nebraska. I mean, growing up, how many times have we heard Nebraska? Go try to hunt Nebraska on public land right now. You're going to hate your life. And that's me speaking for a lot of people that I know that have tried it.
We both hunted it, and it's tough.
Yeah. I came out of there with an 80-inch deer, and I screamed when I shot it like I shot the world record because we put 60-something miles on boot, and that's the first rack we saw. So, yeah, I was trying to think. There's another state that's popping up. Oh my gosh, is it? It's
Kansas?
a state that what? Yeah. Like Kansas, you know, they're kind of hitting a dry spell, but I think that's a lot to do with health issues. I shouldn't say a dry spell. There's still giants that come from Kansas. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
it's a good take on that $1 deal. You're never gonna please everybody.
I think Kansas. One of the reasons Kansas is always going to hold big deer for the out of state people. You got to be drawn to the hunt over there.
Yeah,
you can't just go over there and hunt. And I think that's pretty. Yeah. I like that kind of. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Oklahoma go draw hunt. We raised our prices this year, and they sold a fraction of the tags, but made just as much money because we raised the prices to be equivalent to what everyone else is. Because we had like a raise in our prices in 20-something years. So it's just, or I shouldn't say 20. I think it was like 96. So almost 20 years.
We still treat non-residents really well. You can get a bow tag and you can get a bow license and have 5 tags, 6 tags with your bow.
You have $2 and 4 does, so you get 6.
Six
tags with your one bow deer license. Yeah.
When I went to Illinois this year, I think I paid $477 for $1 tag and 1 doe tag.
Wow. Well, that's like Kansas. You're $550 and you're $1 and 1 doe. Mm-hmm. Actually, you're a little bit more.
Did you see what that senator said? Was it something green? I don't know what he said about and this is what a lot of people are getting at too, because of who is trying to push the $1. He said deer density isn't an issue. If the deer become too dense, they'll just leave.
What?
That's what he said. They'll just disperse. I'm like, maybe. I don't know about that one, but see, that's the kind of guy that's pushing for it. So it's tough to have that kind of advocate for it, if that makes sense when a guy says that. But I don't know. We'll see. If it happens, it's probably not going to change a whole lot of what I'm doing anyway.
I mean, I don't know. The only thing I don't see with the $1 is there's people out here like, I mean, for me and you, for instance, I mean, sometimes you don't like to fill your tag, but I would love to fill both of mine in the first week if I could. And it's like, we put so much time and effort and look forward to hunt. If I shoot so I have farms that cross 3 or 4 different counties. It's like if I shoot one 4 counties away and I have another big one over here that's 8.5, I'm going to be like trying to find a friend. And that's where I don't like that, because I'm not going to be like, hey buddy, come shoot a deer that I've let past grow, fed all year. Come shoot this big deer off me.
Or they could do something like, hey, you kill your first buck, you need to go kill at least a few. You need to go kill 2
Yeah.
does before you can have your other buck tag.
Yeah.
Do
I
something
like
like that. I mean, that would
See-
be understandable, I think.
And Taylor and I have talked about it. We wouldn't mind, or I wouldn't mind. I can't speak for him. If they did something, maybe like you can kill one with the gun, the other one has to be with the bow or something. Something like I don't know. Make people bow hunt for the second one. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a 100% thing, but
Yeah, because you can
it-
kill one with your muzzleloader and kill one with a rifle down here.
and so
See, I think
I don't know.
Illinois
I
is the
mean,
same way.
Really?
Illinois, I think you could kill one with a bow in Illinois, but you can get draw for a gun tag. But you can also use your your gun tag to kill it with a bow.
Wow.
It's kind of your option. If you get draw for the gun tag, you can use it for bow or gun.
Yeah, another thing I think would be neat, especially down here, because I don't really see the benefits of one buck other than we probably would have a couple bigger deer around us, but and I know there's other people in the state that don't have the quality deer that we have, but so I'm speaking for us, but I wouldn't mind if they're going to do something like that, even doing like 1 buck per county, and you can shoot up to 2, because they used to do that turkeys down here. When everyone's going to be like, well, it's online check-in, they can lie. People are going to lie no matter what. I mean,
Yeah,
if it goes
no matter what people's going to do, they're going to lie.
yeah, well, if it goes to 1 buck, I mean, an 80-year-old grandma that has 140 years is magically probably going to start shooting a deer. Someone's going to shoot the deer for her.
well, did you
And
see
they
that
said-
guy online saying that crap? Did you read that comment? He's
Uh-uh.
like, if we go to 1 buck, my buddy's cousin, my buddy's cousin's brother,
yeah.
my brother, my nanny, and all of them are going to be shooting deer too. And then I'm like, holy cow. You don't realize there's people like that. They'll just go kill.
Oh
Well,
yeah, they're
15
just killing
deer.
just to kill them. They don't care.
It's like druggies. They're going to find a way to do it. It's illegal, but hey, they're going to find a way to do it. And that's the difference between someone that has morals and someone that doesn't. So, but
like somebody
Same
has
thing we
morals,
talk-
they're not going to do that.
yeah,
The same thing we talk about with the cell cams. You can use them. You can use them, like how me and Taylor use them, where we just don't have to go in all the time, or you can sit there on your back porch, get a picture, run out there and kill the buck on your cell cam. You know what I mean? You could do that too. But
I mean,
Oh,
I personally, I've heard the discussion about people they trying to like some states trying to get rid of the cell cameras. I mean, it doesn't really make no difference if they get rid of them or not. I mean, I've killed them, but you can kill the
Yeah.
deer with a regular camera. You can kill them without. But I do think it's an advantage that you can use the cell camera because, like you said, you don't go in there and out as much, and therefore you don't spook your deer. You're not letting your deer know you're in there. But people's going to kill the deer regardless of if you got the cell cameras or not. They're still going to hunt the deer. So I don't know why you would take them from them.
yeah. That's like, well, me, it benefits me because I live an hour away from most of my places, so I don't have to drive an hour to check a camera. I just get on my phone and see what's been in there.
Yeah, I mean, but in today's time, do they care if you save money? No, they'd rather you
No.
see you go drive up there and check your camera.
That way they can get another transmission out of me.
It's sad.
But
Then they get some of your gas money for going up there.
yeah, and more corn, because if I go, I'll probably take more corn or whatever feed I'm feeding that time. Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. It's just, one thing we talk about, often is the hate in the industry against each other and how we fight each other. And it just cracks me up seeing people just go at war. And at the end of the day, I'm like, we're all still chasing a stupid deer. So why does it matter what I think and what you think? Like, the thing is, I'm still going to get hyped when I shoot one, but it's like, why do we have to fight over this stuff? It just cracks me up, man. That's in everything. I mean, look at any sports or anything. Everyone's going to fight, but you get online and what people are fighting over. I mean, and then
Yeah,
you
I've
have
seen people like this. I've seen
Go
people
ahead.
like you said fighting over the most stupid stuff. You're like, yeah, I can understand if they pay somebody to go kill a fenced-in deer and they're trying to brag
Yeah.
about it. I can understand that. But
That's
other
not
than
me.
that, why are you fighting over when he killed the deer or why he killed it? I mean, he killed it early season. He should have let him live. He should have let him breed. I'm like, why does it matter when he killed it? He killed it. He's going to die
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
And chances is, if he's a 6-year-old deer, the last 3 years he's been breeding anyway. So why does it matter?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then a lot of people don't realize how much does influence the bucks when they're born. What the
Yep.
buck's going to be. So yeah, it just all cracks me up. But I want to circle back. We kind of get off a little topic about your whole season. We got stuck on one deer, but it's kind of understandable when you have 279 inches. But go ahead and tell us, like once you shot that deer, that kind of lit the fuse to the firework of your year, and kind of tell us, what went on after that.
All right, so after that, it's been a few weeks later. I'm like after I killed the deer, and I'm just still in disbelief that I shot this deer, and I'm like, well, you know what? I've got my Tennessee tags. I'm gonna go try to hunt Tennessee. So I go. So I pack up my stuff. I kind of wait till the rut kicks in a little bit, and I think it's like mid-October. So I go climb up the stand, and I see a few deer, few does, few little bucks, and I'm like, then after that it was like youth season coming in for Kentucky, so my son wanted to go. So that weekend I took him, and that following Monday, so that afternoon, so after youth season was gone, I got up in the stand. I said, I'm gonna check my camera. Well, I checked the camera on my regular camera that day before I got up the stand, and there was about 160-inch deer the afternoon that I was gonna that I took my son hunting that I would normally have been in that stand. There was about 160-inch deer on it. I'm like, well, daggone it. And I'm like, I've never even seen this deer. I mean, he walked right by the camera, looked at the camera, don't even know where he come from, don't know nothing. And that afternoon, I had about 135. It was a 136-inch deer. He come under me, and I couldn't get a shot on him. Well, I'm like, well, dang, what am I gonna do? So the next day, he come around, and I'm like, we got a good wind. I'm gonna go down about 100 yards further where he come out and see if I can't play the wind and get him. Well, that afternoon, he done the same thing. Come down the fence row, and he was right underneath the tree, and I shot him and smoked him. And then I think he wound up scoring 136 and some change. So I get that deer out, and it's like 3 days later. I'm like, you know what? I got another Tennessee buck. I was like, I'm gonna go back and hunt Tennessee again, but I'm gonna go to the far end of the farm. So I get up in the tree. I'm seeing a bunch of deer. It was like 3 o'clock. I done had like 10 does underneath my deer stand. Several little big bucks chasing them and stuff. And I'm like, well, it got quiet, and I'm like, well, I ain't seen no more deer, and I guess that's all the deer I'm gonna see for the day. And I look across the field about 300 yards, and I see these bunch of does bust out of the woods, and I look behind them. I'm like, golly, that's a wide freaking deer, and they're coming straight towards me. And they get about 150 yards, and I hit my grunt call at this buck, and I didn't know how big he was. I just knew it was really wide. I was gonna get a closer look. So I hit my grunt call, and I hit my snort wheeze, and he freaking barrels it to me, straight to me, running wide open. He gets like 30 yards. I'm like, man, that deer is freaking massive and wide. So he gets 30 yards, and I freaking pull back, and I smoke him. And he runs about 40 yards and crashes. And I get out of deer stand. I was like, God, this deer is freaking wide. It's like 20. I think he wound up being 23 inches wide and
Golly.
like really massive, like crazy massive. If he would have had 10 points, he'd probably been 150, 160.
Golly.
But like then after that, I made it. Like I said, I've only spent like the Kentucky and Tennessee. I think I wound up spending maybe see 1 day for Kentucky, and then what 4 or 5 days total in Tennessee, Kentucky this year in my tags field.
Wow.
Didn't
That's
I mean
crazy.
I didn't hunt hardly any.
How
Yeah.
was that for you? Are you like a guy that's like, dadgummit, I'm tagged out? Were you like tickled to death? You're like, heck yeah. I mean, you mentioned you have a son, so I mean, you could take him,
Yeah, I
but
was tickled to death. I mean, I was glad that I was tagged out, and my son he plays sports and stuff, and he just don't get really much time to hunt and stuff. So it's like, what am I going to do now? He's playing
mhm.
football. What am I going to do? I'm like, if he's not playing football, he's playing basketball. I'm like, what am I going to do? So my buddy's like, you want to go to Illinois? I'll buy you Illinois tag, and let's go hunt Illinois. So he bought my Illinois tags, and I went up there hunting. And then, like the second day up there, I had a 135-inch deer under me, and it wound up getting away. But I thought it was going to be after that trip, man. It was just like everything just turned off. It was just like battle up from then on out.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's still, I mean, let me do my quick math real quick. I mean, you had over what, 450, 500 inches of deer this year?
556 inches and 3 deer.
Yeah.
I think they said my average was 185 for 3 deer a piece. Like if you add the average is 185
Yeah.
inches.
Yeah, that's funny you said that because I was doing that. Yeah, 185 and some change. Wow.
I mean, I could have killed some deer in Illinois, but I just, dude, this is hard to shoot on 115, 120. I mean, all I need is like to win the little bow hunt lead is like, all I need is like I think a 90-inch deer in Illinois and a 90-inch deer in Louisiana. And I had them under me. I just let them go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wild. That's incredible year. Man, average 185. So you average 3 world-class deer.
Yeah. In
That's
1
crazy.
year.
Man.
Hey, only one person can do it, and that's the Lord.
Yep. 100%. That's what we 100% back that statement. That's
Like I
you know,
said, I've been hunting since I was like, what, 10 years old. I mean, everybody's like, well, you earned it stuff. I mean, I might have earned it, but look at all the other people's hunted their whole life. They ain't never killed
yep.
a deer like that. I mean, that's just something I get. I mean, I can't describe it. I guess it was just meant for me. I don't know.
Yeah, just your time to shine. Hey, maybe we'll carry on from out of here. You don't know. Maybe next year you do the same thing. If you do, I'll give you my number and everything. And if you have any spare luck, you can just I'll give you my number and my address. You can just mail me some spare luck. But
Like
man,
last year I was hunting that big deer, and I had a 162-inch deer I had on camera, and I'm like, man, my son was wanting to hunt him, but like I said, sports and stuff, and where this deer was at, he wasn't going to stay. And I told one of my buddies that I turkey hunt with, I was like, hey, go kill that deer. He went into there first morning, killed him, 162 inches and some change.
golly.
So you mentioned you do some turkey hunting. What are some other things that you like to hunt?
Turkey hunting and deer hunting, and I do a little coyote hunting some
Coyote
around
hunting.
here at nighttime with thermal.
Yeah.
But I don't usually do the coyote hunting as much this year because everybody's doing it with the thermal. They done made it so hard it's not even fun no more. You'll always go to 10 spots if you call in 2 coyotes.
Yeah.
So
We do
usually when my deer season's done, it's usually I go into fishing.
Yeah. You like bass fishing? Is that your
Bass fishing and crappie fishing. Wintertime, I
crappie
usually do more
fishing?
crappie fishing. And summertime, I usually do more bass fishing.
Yeah. Taylor and I fly fish a bunch when we can in like the spring months because they stock trout in a couple rivers here, and then we have a couple natural trout fisheries. And then when we can get away, we try to go in the summer to Colorado because that's kind of our. Taylor loves to catfish, but like fly fishing for us, man, we love it.
It's like bow hunting. The fly fishing side's like the bow hunting. It's just a different animal.
Yeah. I've never been fly fishing. I've always wanted to go. One of these days, I'll make it. Maybe if I quit hunting all year long, I might be able to have time to go.
Right. Yeah. No, it's kind of like us. We just fish to buy our time, I feel like, for hunting season. But you also live in like one of the megas of, the quality of water and bass too, around you, Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yeah, we have some giant. I think last year I caught 6 or 7 over 6, and I think I caught 2 or 3 over 7.5, almost 8 pounds last year.
God. Do you ever do jackpots or little weekend tournaments or?
Yeah, I do a lot of tournaments. Last year I done a tournament, and I did like a tournament series during the year, and the fish off at the end of the season. Me and my uncle, we caught 25 pounds the first day. And I think the first day tournament, what we caught the first day would have won the whole tournament. We caught 25 pounds on one spot, and the next day I think we caught like 12 or 15 pounds. I can't remember.
Wow.
But we had a pretty good size weight for that fish off.
Was it a largemouth or smallies?
Largemouth.
Largemouth.
We got a lot of small. I don't really do a whole lot of smallmouth this year. I'm going because I usually run a tournament, but this year I'm not running it, and I'm gonna do a lot of smallmouth fishing at Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, we have a friend. He also comes on, or he's also a lot of our pictures and all that. Tristan McCormick, he's a pro angler, and he lives up there in Tennessee, but he talks about Kentucky Lake all the time. So
yeah, Kentucky Lake is where it's at right now.
Yep. Yeah, he grew up fishing Kentucky Lake. He talks about the smallies there. I mean, he just posted, I think 3 days ago, him and another guy went up there and they just hammered the smallies. So
Yeah, it's a pretty good lake for smallmouth.
I was gonna ask do you do any like crappie trail tournaments or anything like that, crappie stuff, or do you just kind of do that
I
leisurely?
usually just go crappie fishing. I just do that like in the wintertime just to eat them.
Yeah, I
Now
love
I did catch one about when I was 16 years old. It weighed 4 pounds in Kentucky Lake. That was a big
Ah,
crappie.
yeah, that's a monster. Jesus. I don't think I've hit some twos, but nothing bigger than that. So, is
That's
there
that's a slab. It didn't even look like a crappie. It's actually got it mounted. It's a big one.
wow. Is there anything else you think that we didn't cover you'd like to cover, or
I'm gonna say really, like you got to have the genetics and you got and the age on a deer. That's the only thing I can tell anybody. Like, give the deer time to grow and give them the nutrition they need. And
yeah,
if they got it in their genetics, they'll grow.
yeah, yeah? I think it's I think a lot of people are figuring out the deer in the area had the genetics, they just didn't have the nutrition, and you give them the right
You gotta
nutrition, you get a
you gotta
different
have the
quality
right
deer.
nutrition.
Yep.
You're 100% correct.
So I think that's a big thing. People are finding out in these states of, well, let's try this. Let's try the feed plan, and then start feeding the nutrition, and boom, the quality of deer you've always thought that you never have. It's just I've seen it firsthand on my spots. So it's uh deer deer a different story. They get my heart pumping. Everyone's like, you need to go west. You need to do that, but I'm like, man, chasing an old mature deer, it doesn't get better.
No, you don't get much better than that for real. Be
No.
honest, straight honest.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to witness an elk bugling, 20 yards, with my bow, but still, I'd still run back and climb in a tree stand in a heartbeat. So,
Yep. There ain't nothing like chasing a whitetail.
yep. I think they're kind of underestimated on a lot of stuff.
They're the smartest of the three, in my opinion. We could start that argument now. I think they're miles smarter than a mule deer and an elk. I think mule deer and elk are elusive, but I just think
Well, whitetail can survive. Here's my statement on that. Whitetail can survive on 3 miles that are broken up anywhere from 2 all the way to, let's say, 15 hunters, and survive for 8 years. A lot of those elk and all that have thousands of acres to run, and it's just crazier because if you put in concept how many times a whitetail has to slip a person over a mule deer or an elk, you'd probably be surprised.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
but that's my 2 cents on it. A lot of people are gonna get upset over that and be like, well, elk or mule deer, but I don't know. Mule deer are probably out of the equation. They're dumb. I mean, everyone you talk to says they're dumb.
I mean, maybe where some of these animals are is
Yeah.
what makes them tough. To me, it's where they are.
Yeah.
Like maybe finding that big elk on the side of that mountain when you're sitting here grabbing, trees. That's what makes elk hunting and mule deer hunting hard, is getting to them. It's not when you find them. If they're in a place that you can get to them,
You're gonna get a good shot.
I feel like you're going to have a pretty good opportunity. If you find a whitetail, it's a cat and mouse. Even if you're spotting a stalking whitetail, they're smart.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. What?
they can hear anything. They sense things. You don't catch them in a bad position often. When you do, it's usually that time of year.
Yeah. They got one thing
being
on their
stupid.
minds.
That's the
They're
only
chasing
time
one
they act
thing and
kind
they
of
ain't thinking what
stupid.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. The rest of the time, you don't catch them in a bad spot. You have to really outsmart them, and that's hard to do.
Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on and telling us your story about your year and the crazy buck you shot this year. We appreciate your time, and we hope you go next year and get the 300-inch deer.
Yeah. If that happens, something else will be crazy.
We'll have you right back on next year. You'll be right back on.